which that has me kind of interested in experimenting with aggro and best of 3 to see how much of a difference that makes. Now, in the sense of how much of a difference does that make? Are there any good cards in this pack? Seasoned Pyromancer and Light Up the Stage are okay. Vorinclex is fun, but not very good. The blue cards are bad. Cosmos Elixir is bad. Mechagodzilla is fine filler. I think the pick is probably between Intrepid Adversary, Seasoned Pyromancer, or Light Up the Stage. Bloodchief's Thirst, huh? I'm not sure how to fit that in a deck yet. I don't think I would pick Rekindling Phoenix over Pyromancer or Light Up the Stage, but it is probably one of the slightly better cards on average. I'll take Pyromancer because I've had less experience building around that, and I know how Intrepid Adversary works. Take Lavamancer. It's the red card in the pack. I think I would probably default to Adversary because I'm more comfortable building white aggro decks than red ones, but the fact that I'm more comfortable building white aggro decks is why I want to try to build the red one instead. I am a little nervous that we shipped Light Up the Stage, which is probably likely to put somebody to our left in red, but maybe we wheel it and then it's excellent. There's because it's very non-committal. Any archetype that can cast it wants it. I may have not drafted a single deck with black as a main color yet. No, I've drafted, well, even the aggressive decks we played black in were decks that were base white. But it's a card that an aggressive white-black deck wouldn't mind playing. So Memory Lapse is the strongest card in this pack. Prismari Command is kind of good with Lava Runner and Pyromancer, but I don't think that I want that in a deck that is aggressive. Alright, I don't think I want to be blue in a deck that is aggressive. Prismari Command in particular isn't terrible. Kolagon's Command is probably the best card with this sort of deck. Memory Lapse still probably the strongest card. I think I take Kolagon's Command. Traxos seems difficult. So Mayhem Devil could be good in a red-black deck, and Seasoned Pyromancer probably fits in the same deck as Mayhem Devil. The Lava Runner at that point wouldn't be excellent, but I think Den of the Bugbear is the card with the highest value add to any red deck, whereas Mayhem Devil is a good card that you honestly do have to build around a little bit. It takes up a main deck slot. Den of the Bugbear just replaces a basic and it makes your deck flat better pretty much 100% of the time you draw it, more or less. So I think we're happy with that being the pick. Thundering Rebuke is the kind of card I don't understand if I want in a red-black deck yet. But that said, I do like Bastion of Remembrance, actually. That's kind of going very deep on a specific archetype that Seasoned Pyromancer sort of works with. I think I'd rather play Thundering Rebuke. But I really don't know how to build these red aggro decks, because it's stuff like Thundering Rebuke that I'm just not certain what I'm doing with. I don't think we play Obosh and try to be companioning it. Between Young Pyromancer and Dragon's Rage Channeler, those are both good signs to see this late, because I think both of those are very good cards in the archetype we're going for. But I don't know how to make Young Pyromancer. I guess Dragon's Rage Channeler is also a hard card to build around for me, because it feels weird to balance the Delirium aspect. So I guess I should take it and try to find out how this works. I'll take a Braid. So I could take a Ruin Blaster. Obosh main is fine. It's not bad, but I don't think that it's a very high value main deck card, especially in an archetype where I'm not even certain that I want to try to play 5-drops at all. So we can pick up Rem in case we end up in red-white, or I could pick up the Sacred Foundry in case we end up in red-white. I don't think Goblin Ruin Blaster is very likely to make our deck, even if we picked it here, so I'm happy taking the speculation pick on the white land in case Boros is open. Red-black is probably open, but we might just not want to be in it. Regardless, if white is also open, white might just be the more preferable of the two. Happy to take a Crawling Barrens. I don't think there's any chance we end up in Mardu. There might be a chance. There is a chance that we play Demonic Pact. I don't know why Demonic Pact is in the cube, but there is a chance that this does do 4 damage to our opponent's face. That is a thing that this card has printed on it. I think there's like no possible chance we play Traxos, but maybe I end up with enough historic cards to try to make Dragon's Rage Channeler work. That sounds super unlikely. None of these cards are playable. Let's hate draft the land. I feel like... Oh... Okay. I think there is a lower chance that I run an Embereth Shieldbreaker than that I run Isamaru if I end up in red-white. I don't want to run Shieldbreaker. Maybe I should just to have more likely chances of playables. It's hard to say. Smart 545. Thanks for the follow. Glad you're enjoying the stream. What do we have here? We have Banefire, a black-red land, and a good white aggressive creature. And also possibly Aghanim's Awakening if we wanted to try to play black-red, but I don't really want to try to make that happen. Can't pass a time warp. Yeah, I don't think we're turning this into blue-red. But if I had gone for blue-red earlier, Time Warp would be a card I would put in it. I don't really like the idea of playing 6-mana Lava Axe. I don't really want to take Blood Crypt. I don't really want to try to make the mana fixing work to play 1-drop red and 1-drop white cards, but... well... I think that's where I'm at. Chaos or Scorching Dragonfire. Alright, let's take the Chaos. We're gonna have to, like, hyper-aggressively instant pick every single untapped turn 1 red-white land. Ooh, Rimrock Knight versus Rampaging Ferocidon is an interesting debate. I love me a Ferocidon, but I think I might be more into Rimrock Knight. I guess both of them are equally likely to wheel, probably. Nobody in either of those decks is likely to leave the other one not taken. If anyone is in a red aggressive deck. Yeah, alright, I'm just obligated to take Bomat Courier. There's nothing else to even consider in that pack. Why are all these red-black lands not red-white lands in a pack where I don't want to take anything? I think Fight with Fire isn't very good in an aggressive deck. You're never going to get to 9 mana to ever send it at the face. Between Phoenix of Ash and Dragonkin Berserker, I mean, I guess Phoenix of Ash is better. I suppose that's not really a debate. This deck doesn't look terrible. I'm just horrified at the reliability our mana base is going to have. I don't want to play Scrap Heap Scrounger, but I don't know that I want to play Torbran either, or Soulscar Mage. I have so many 1-drops already. There's no way I can have the mana to play Usher the Fallen and Isamaru and Torbran. No. Alright, we're taking Scrap Heap Scrounger. It is a red-white aggressive card now. Thraben Inspector versus Purphoros' Intervention. Huh. I don't really need more 1-drops, and I don't like Purphoros' Intervention. Not in an aggressive deck. It is a removal spell in a pinch, though, I guess. So maybe the flexibility is worth taking over Thraben Inspector. I don't think Thraben Inspector adds very much to this deck, is the thing. Ooh. I would rather have Unstable Formation than Esper Sentinel, especially given that I have too many 1-drops already. But it is interesting that Esper Sentinel is an artifact for Dragon's Rage Channeler. Although that said, I've already got Bomat Courier and Scrap Heap. I kind of didn't consider that Scrap Heap is a better card because of Dragon's Rage Channeler. I think that makes me pick Unbreakable Formation for the time being. Yeah. Pretty happy Blood Crypt Wield. That's a card I'm totally willing to take because I have Scrap Heap Scrounger. I don't think there's any possibility that I'm willing to play an Isolated Chapel for Scrap Heap Scrounger, because it doesn't come into play untapped on turn 1. And I think that just disqualifies it. If I take good dual lands from other decks, I'm operating under the assumption that forces them to... I'll take a Bladestep Pathway. To take dual lands more aggressively... I am not going to play Canyon's Law. To take lands more aggressively in the next pack to make up for the absence of the dual lands in this pack. Maybe that's a correct guess, but it probably is not. But I'm willing to continue operating under that assumption for the time being. Shadow Spear is not a very good aggressive card, so I guess... I mean, it's fine, but not in like this sort of an aggressive deck. I think that makes me take Pride of the Conquerors. This is a weird looking deck. We're already in pack 3. I have like no good cards. Yeah, it's definitely correct to take the best card for our deck. My question is mostly, if I am picking cards that are the only options are hate cards, am I supposed to hate draft lands or hate draft playables first? And I think the answer is that I'm supposed to hate draft lands first. And here we have exactly one playable card, so we're going to take the one playable card. Cathar Commando versus Bloodbraid Marauder is an interesting difference. We have 2 dead cards for Bloodbraid Marauder to hit. Assuming we play Purphoros, which we might not. I think I would prefer Cathar Commando. Maybe that's not correct, but I suppose the flexibility of being able to block should be something that I consider as a benefit. Seal Away is not good removal for an aggressive deck. We will take Play with Fire. There are worse cards. This does work with Dragon's Rage Channeler. And Lava Runner. I still don't understand if Lava Runner is a playable card in this format. It seems so difficult to enable. I have to imagine it's just so much worse than Thraben Inspector. Well, there's no way I'm playing Cathar's Crusade. I'm probably playing Luris. That seems actually kind of pretty decent. We could have Yorion plus Demonic Pact. We could play Yorion as our commander with Demonic Pact. I'm just going to take the Luris. Devil's Play is interesting. Oh, Venerated Loxodon is probably the card I'm supposed to take with my deck that has a billion 1-drops and 2-drop creatures. I have a surprisingly low... Okay, no, Shelter actually was a card that's in the cube. What did our opponent draft that previous game? I have legitimately no clue. There is also legitimately nothing playable in this pack. I'll draft the land, I guess. There is legitimately nothing playable in this pack. I'll hate draft the land, I guess. There is nothing playable in this pack. I will hate draft the land, I guess. He can't pick lands and also hit playables for 60 cards. I mean, you can just play a lot of lands. Do we have how many things for Jaya's Immolating Inferno? I mean, I'm going to take it because there's nothing else playable in the pack. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Okay. Blubbery Marauder probably makes the deck. What happened to how to maximize opponent's fun? Hey, we're not playing Brawl. We're not drafting to maximize the opponent's fun. Even if you're playing 26 lands, that still requires 35 playables. Yeah, alright. That's fair. That's fair. Probably not easy. Probably not easy. Or correct. Speaking of playables, actually, are we short on playables currently? Somehow? Because there were so few playables passed to us, and I was drafting lands. I mean, I didn't take lands over any playable at any point. Am I playing Traxos? Oh, I'm super... Oh, Remorseful Cleric, actually. Devil's Play, Remorseful Cleric. Probably Remorseful Cleric. Alright, I think we barely made it to the number of playables that was important to have, and I think I might still be playing this Traxos. Or possibly splashing Kolagon's Command, which also sounds terrible. I could play Cathar's Crusade, actually, legitimately with this deck. 17 land Cathar's Crusade. That's not unreasonable at all. Okay. Get into my deck, Cathar's Crusade. Oh no. 1, 2... 9... 10, 14, 17. Well, at least the Crawling Barrens doesn't hurt too bad. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 red sources. 9 white sources. Can that be right? Do we need to play more red sources? I guess it's pretty much completely evenly split, isn't it? The white 1-drops were a mistake. I don't know if that's true. They do stress the mana, but I do think that we ended up in a spot where red was not open enough to support us being in this... to be like mono red. And I also don't think we saw enough black aggressive creatures to make that viable. I think we ended up in a spot where someone else was also drafting some combination of the rest of the pod was drafting aggressive red creatures and probably also aggressive white creatures. Which means I think we wound up in the best case scenario for drafting red-white given those conditions. I don't disagree that the mana is stressful. I just think that the colors weren't open enough for us to have had a different option if we were in these colors. I'm not even convinced that our white 1-drops are worse than our red 1-drops for what it's worth. I think Lava Runner is considerably worse than our 2 white 1-drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, Could the Usher and the Pupper have been better red cards? They definitely couldn't have been better red 1-drops. It's also worth noting that although we want to be able to play our 1-drops on turn 1, we do, because of the way that we have Unbreakable Formation and Pride of Conquerors and Luris and Cathar's Crusade, get a lot of value from having more 1-drops later in the game as well. More so than, I think, a lot of decks with their 1-drops. But that was all after the fact. I guess it comes down to, what were the opportunities that we passed up to take the Usher, the Fallen, and the Isamaru? I don't recall them competing with anything relevant, but that might just not be my memory succeeding. Don't think I'm willing to play Isolated Chapel or Canyon's Law. I think we're just shipping this.